I'll just mention one thing that you may have brought up. The disinformation dozen, how the U.S. government came at your brother. Yeah. It put me on a list of 12 people. And they said these 12 people are the number one group of people who have the majority of influence on the internet as it pertains to the shots and CV-19. So they put Rizza Islam on a list of 12. Woo! Quoted at the White House. Shit. And they said these 12 people are the most dangerous when it comes to this, and they spread the most misinformation, which so far we have been exonerated in virtually every single thing that we have stated was going to happen, has happened. Everything that we warned the people about has come true, from Minister Farrakhan all the way down. It has been turned out now to be true. And now what's happening is the government is starting to have to reverse all the things that they were putting on the people.
Of course. Now, get to the... Sorry.
I mean, he was one of the people that misinformed us, too, about the vaccination.
You're right.
We don't got enough time in the podcast.
We don't. That's why I brought it up at the end. I brought it up at the end, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Let's not even get
Shout out to all my boosted brothers out there, man.
Might want to hit him in the arm again.
I'm in my 7th booster. I'm almost dying.
I'll be with you.
You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, my God. I forgot that this is probably not the best place for me to be talking about vaccines.
You have no friends at this table.
I love how, though, like, okay, there are scientists. There are scientists who their whole thing is to like research stuff. It's interesting how you guys have such doubts when all the experts seem to agree that this is completely made up.
And who are we listening to?
Nicki Minaj's cousin's balls.
No.
We live in an age in which nobody wants to defer to an expert or even acknowledge that expertise exists. Trust me, it does. Because one of the things that Nicki Minaj was tweeting that we will get to momentarily, she was saying, once I get done with my research, I may get vaccinated. Nicki, you really are not in the place to be doing any research when it comes to this. You're not a doctor. You're not a scientist. Your opinion, your research, I'm trying to be polite here, is completely meaningless. There are already people who know 10 million times more than you about this topic who have put in a lot of research and have agreed. It's FDA approved. What are we talking about? It's FDA approved. What research are you doing that the FDA hasn't done?
Cigarettes are FDA approved. Can you admit that there are risks taking it? And people are having bad side effects.
There are extremely rare side effects. Keep in mind that if we were to take a million people...
What's the percentage of people that have side effects compared to, I want to know
like
that.
0.0001. So for the record, if we were to give everybody, if we were to get a million people, everybody in LA, we give them a peanut. A couple of them are going to die. Some percentage of those people are going to die. So yes, is it possible that something bad could happen to you from taking the vaccine? Sure. Is it unbelievably unlikely and not supported by any sort of research? Yes.
Maybe but there's some people that went in to go get that and didn't and end up dying. They probably thought the same thing.
Who are you talking about?
I'm just saying there's some people who died.
There are people who have died, yes.
Who?
I don't remember the name specifically.
Yeah, because you're just making shit up that you saw on
some. So you're saying nobody has died from getting the vaccine?
Okay,
or got in bad side effects?
Keep in mind, we are comparing.
I was asking.
You got to stop talking. I mean, he doesn't have a mic. You got to stop talking off camera. We are comparing getting vaccinated to COVID in terms of risk. So you're talking about one thing that has killed millions and millions of people. And then you're talking about one thing where you guys can't even name a single verified case of someone dying from it.
We don't know specifically.
Maybe it's happened to a couple people. But again, with COVID, millions of people have died from it.
Yes, and what have we told you was happened with our people and the government?
Oh my God,
we don't trust
them. I really
them.
don't know why you think that it's a good idea to use being black as an excuse to not use your brain when it comes to getting vaccinated.
They experimented on black people countless times over history. The government.
And also, who trusts the government?
I've told you all the time. The Tuskegee experiment.
Why are we lumping in the government as if like the military is the same as the fucking FDA?
Look at the Tuskegee experiment, what they did.
The sauce that you get at the fucking at Halal guys?
There's so many other things that are approved by the FDA that kill you, including cigarettes.
Okay. The FDA has the FDA is the reason why they're
you're not black anyway, so
you see how on the side of this tobacco product, warning, cigar smoking can cause cancers of the mouth and throat even if you do not inhale.
Jesus.
Okay. It says that on there. That's a warning that was approved by a government agency.
It says that your father was really good friends with Bill Clinton.
He was.
Wow. Yeah. That's interesting.
The whole thing. Because New Hampshire is the first primary state, or it was at the time. So it's basically like if you wanted to win the presidency, you kind of had to go to New Hampshire first and make your claim to there, because that's what, like, where you would build up your momentum if you were running for president at that time. My dad was like a Democrat working on local campaigns and stuff at that time when I'm in like second grade. And so my dad's like helping him out and was like a part of the campaign. Like we would be going to fucking Bill Clinton events and shit on the weekend when I was a kid and stuff. And yeah, my dad helped him win his initial presidency. And then my dad went down for a fucking like basically like a corporate crime type thing where he was like accused of misusing his power in the local government to award a contract to his employer, because he worked at this construction company, like getting jobs for the construction company. Like he was in the corporate side of this office, and so he ends up he refuses to snitch on his boss. He ends up doing a fucking a deal for a year. So my dad goes to prison in like 95 for like a year, and then when he gets out, Bill Clinton leaves office a couple of years later, and Bill Clinton gives my dad a presidential pardon.
Awesome.
Epic.
Because he had been fucking with him early on in his career and stuff. So I have all these like photos of my family with the Clintons and shit, but honestly, they haven't had anything to do with them for years. Like, I don't know.
You haven't been out to the island?
I have not. No.
Yeah, Bill Clinton might like Kazumi though. You could introduce him.
I don't think he knows. He's on like Biden status right now, dude. You don't know what the fuck's going on.
Break the whole thing down.
My pops.
Do you not know this?
You haven't heard about this? You don't subscribe to the Clips
Illuminati?
channel.
No.
She doesn't know. Anyway,
He is bona fide Illuminati.
yeah.
What?
My dad was kind of like a low-level Democratic operative, like helping people's campaigns early on.
Of course.
In the early '90s, '92.
Just helping out.
He was an alderman.
Yeah.
In the city of Nashua, New Hampshire.
It is what it is.
It's kind of like as low as you could really be on the local governance totem pole, but he was doing his thing, and he wanted to be mayor or something. He figured he could turn it into something. I think we have a real skeptic on our hands here. But,
Dude, can we bust out some conspiracy corner?
Oh.
Right now. Hold on. This is, wait for it. And action. Okay, good. Okay, as you were, Mr. 22.
Okay, New Hampshire. You kind
Low-level operative,
right. You kind of have to win New Hampshire in the primaries, at least then, if you wanted to have a shot at winning the presidency.
Kind of important then to be
Right.
a low-level operative in New Hampshire, right?
He was clever enough or lucky enough to serve on Bill Clinton's first election campaiging, in New Hampshire, helped him win New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Probably realistically didn't play that big a role in
Probably not. Probably
But,
not.
you know.
Probably had nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Last name is Grand Mason. Probably had nothing to do with it. Okay.
And then my dad caught a federal charge for mail fraud because he allegedly was using his role as an alderman to basically get the construction company that he was employed by get jobs.
What's an alderman for us dummies?
It's just basically like a really, really low, it would be like a senator for a tiny
municipality
city helping to make decisions or whatever, and he allegedly was using his power to get more work for his boss. The way he told me is basically that like the feds wanted to get his boss and that he wouldn't snitch on him. So he ends up having to do a plea deal. He does 1 year in federal prison around 1995. And then when
talk.
Right. And then when Bill Clinton leaves office, Bill Clinton issues a series of presidential pardons, as they do. He issued like 30, I think, 40 pardons. And
so of all the people that Bill Clinton met in his life that went to prison, he chose to pardon someone who was already out of prison.
But it made it so that he was no longer a felon and he could vote, which was very important to my dad.
Wow.
Helped him kind of clear up his name there. I would assume my dad has, not talked to Bill Clinton since, or probably before that for like maybe 10 years. But
has he been on the plane?
There's been a lot of talk of that. He never knew Epstein. He never went to the island.
Oh my gosh.
You're hearing about this for the first time?
I'm just like the plane. No.
Somebody made a YouTube video about him in the Illuminati. It's a fun.
I thought it was just because your last name had Mason in it.
That probably is.
Grand Mason. Like, they're not even hiding it. They're audacious. Yeah, it does mean big house. But who's invited to the big house?
Yeah.
Should I not change my last name when we get married?
You absolutely.
I've been thinking about avoiding it.
And that is how you'll join the Illuminati, and then I'll get to tell you about all the cool shit we got going on.
Oh,
all right.
That's how he has the connections to all these different people.
Message.